President plans to hit the road next week to drum up support for his own personal approach to the short and long-term fiscal challenges we face. In other words, rather than sitting down with lawmakers of both parties and working out an agreement, he's back on the campaign trail, presumably with the same old talking points that we're all quite familiar with.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell criticizing the president for trying to drum up public support for his budget priorities. Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings serves on the Joint Economic Committee and joins me now from the White House. Congressman, thanks very much for being with us. Let's talk about the fiscal cliff negotiations. What negotiations? What's happening behind the scenes?
Well, first of all, I just heard what Mr. McConnell said, and I just left the president. And one of the things that he said to us, he said, "Don't pack up your bags." In other words, he's determined to get this deal done and to get it done before the end of the year. But the fact is that the president is very much engaged. But he also understands that one of the things that he's got to do is get a balanced package done. He's got to have revenue, and he's also got to have some very targeted cuts. So, and he also is trying to get across the point that Republicans and Democrats agree that those folks making less than $250,000, their tax cuts should be extended. And so, again, we've got a situation now where the Republicans can stand on the sideline, or they can adhere to what the public has said in this election. They want us to get the deal done and move forward. And at least we can get done what we already agree on.
Would you agree, would you and other House Democrats agree to some change in the way the CPI is calculated, which almost every economist believes ought to be fixed, which would save, a lot of money, and also some changes in health care and perhaps delaying Medicare for future generations? Would you agree in more means testing, for instance, of Medicare? I
am concerned, very much concerned about Medicare, and the fact is that people on Medicare, many of them in my district, they are already in dire straits. And the question is whether we can address the issues of Medicare by improving it. And I believe very strongly that one of the things that we can do is start negotiating these drug prices, Andrea. That's something that we definitely can do. But I think we're going to have to be very, very careful with Medicare. When you're talking about things like extending the age, you got to look at that, because a lot of people don't work in air-conditioned offices and have an easy life. And so they become ill earlier than others. And so we've got to be careful with that. And so, again, I think a lot has already been done by this president when he opened the door in the Affordable Care Act to make sure that we had wellness exams and mammograms and things of that nature for our seniors, to make sure that they stay well. But again, I want our Republican friends to get off of this thing talking about no increase in tax rates, while at the same time wanting those who are most vulnerable in our society to have their benefits lessened.
Congressman, I understand this is a negotiation. No one wants to show their hand too soon. Some Senate Republicans have shown give on the tax side, and I acknowledge House Republicans have been behind the scenes on this. They have not been as forthcoming about the tax side. But are House Democrats willing to show some give on health care and other issues, at least for the wealthier in our society? I'm not talking about people, many of whom live in your district and are really hurting.
Sure. I think one of the major concerns is that when you start, say, means testing, something like Medicare, one of the things that happens is that it becomes less popular among the general populace, and that we've got to be very careful about. I think we've got to take a very careful approach. I think we've got to look at Medicare, find out where savings can be had, but I do not want to see the basic structure of Medicare being tampered with, like say Ryan was talking about doing before before the presidential election. We could do better than that. And by the way, I think that again, Medicare and Social Security, I think, needs to be set on the side. Those things need to be addressed very carefully, and we need to look at other things. I mean, what about the money that we're giving farmers to not even farm? And I could go on and on. So there are things we can do. Again, targeted cuts that will not damage our economy, but allow our economy to grow and allow our seniors to live a life of dignity.
As you said, in quoting the president, don't pack your bags. Thank you very much.
Don't pack your bags. That's the last thing he said to us.
Congressman Cummings, thanks for that.
Thank you.
And still ahead, we'll get